So I remember this might not be a good idea. What I should do is update my images, is what I should do. I should not do this. Sorry, I had myself all muted.
Oh, that's fine. I've got about 3 hours before I have to get stuff started here.
I've got this volume way too loud. I'm mentally kind of spent, so I don't really know what to do. I looked at that and went, I do not want to deal with that. But what I want to do is capture blueprints of designs that I have completed in the past. What is this? So that is the arty build, which I know I have already. Well, okay, so I already did it. Well, now what? Shit. That's not a good thing. I'm feeding back through your earpiece or something.
I'm not seeing anything on my side.
Okay, it was, but it's stopped now. All right, I don't know what I did here then. What?
You cut the tail end of today's JD run?
Yeah,
Sub 5. Unreal.
a good way to end it. That's 512. A
Hey
little long
Llama.
ago.
Pony almost gave me a heart attack a couple times last night.
With that rocket thing? Or the fast bike?
Yeah, it's like dodges the first train, and then dodges the second one. It's like, oh dear God, we hadn't even made it across the tracks yet. It's like, oh, I'm just frustrated. I hit that rock in the middle of that base, though. Wiped out that tank. So much equipment went up in smoke.
Surrounding our
Oh, I know, but it's just we now have to find and rebuild, and if we're going to work through it, uh, refine the system a little bit.
Oh boy, I think I deleted because I was doing a bunch of cleaning. Wait, my blueprints. Yeah. I think I was doing a bunch of cleaning and oh, there it is.
Don't imagine we'll see Jay tonight. I think he's sleeping to get ready for tomorrow.
Yep, that was one of the reasons that I did not um want to continue the death match that the death world that I had started because I knew I didn't want him to join. I want him to be fresh for tomorrow.
Beyond that, you also want to make sure you go in with a sufficient crew. Just the
Yeah,
two of us might not even be enough either.
I could probably mitigate that. I was looking at defenses, but the United States, we didn't create any choke points, so
No,
they would be localized defenses, and I don't have a train to feed them, so it would be difficult.
yeah.
Thing of it is
I
that
mean,
I
we're
thought I had figured out a way to mitigate this.
we're pushing them out. I mean, we've cleared all the way out to Florida. We're now dealing with stragglers coming in. But yeah, if we can keep getting through America into Canada, and yeah, not exactly the smallest countries to go after, but then that will give us all of North America. And uh, do you touch the North Pole?
Antarctica's been removed.
Antarctica, I'm not worried about. It's actually the North Pole. Are you sufficiently close, or do you end up with a water border?
What? Um, oh, there's water there. You can look on the mods portal and see the actual screenshots from the entire exposed thing. Because I don't,
Okay.
I went to American schools,
Yeah.
so I couldn't tell you what.
No, I just think back to my games of Civ where the best that they could do was they had a upper border to either allow you to walk around the North Pole or the South Pole, depending. But yeah, since you're using the actual Earth map, I was like, oh, how close is he? Because it's technically ice for the North Pole, and as you said, you're just getting rid of Antarctica completely. Then yeah, we should be fine if we can wipe out the remaining corners of the U.S. And then all of Canada, because Greenland won't touch. The islands, depending on how the water works, may be in contact for the territories, and the Bering Sea is the Bering Sea. We will have to cross it.
It's gonna take a lot of work to clean up.
Oh, just trimming out any of the unnecessary items.
Yeah, making it compatible with what I want to do. There's many things about this when I implemented it that I just did not like. The biggest disappointment is the smelting array and the staging of it. Don't like how it worked out.
Just its layout or its throughput?
No train flow. Stackers, really. I the new trains, I cannot get my head around how they're supposed to work. I just they don't. The 1-2-1s
I
I have here, these little winglets, they fail so hard. And
I was
the
watching
interrupt
a
concept that I
Vadi.
have here, it just doesn't work at all.
Yeah, I was watching a Vadi, and he had a couple of short, like 5, 9 minutes, depending, videos about trains, and he partially simulates LTN because of the new interrupts, and he set it up so that how did it work? He had I think n-1 trains for um, number of unloads and number of loading stations. So if he's got 2 and 2, he can only have 3 trains on the go at one time. However, if you're able to then introduce interrupts with a little bit of a parking garage or a parker,
Stacker.
then stacker, then you can hopefully implement a few extra ones and try to get closer to that true end value. So
Not my
it was
concern, that's not my goal, it's not the problem I'm trying to solve. Um I mean, people do that because they have a different agenda than I do. I have no problem having, and I prefer to have dedicated trains for dedicated resources because I put filters on my trains because I
yeah.
will fuck things up. So it the generic thing, which is what interrupts are for, doesn't work for me. And
Well, it was also not so much that it was generic all over the place, but it at least allowed, if he wanted to have a fifth train or even a fourth one for copper or iron in the case of his video, it had at least somewhere to go in the meantime, and it wasn't plugging one side or the other of his production.
yeah, and that's what I've got here, but the way that I've implemented it is that I put these things on the side and they have to go out and cross over. And the real problem for me is the way that I've implemented my stackers and the way that interrupts work is that trains will go to interrupts or trains will go to a stacker based off an interrupt, but they will not go to another stacker based off an interrupt. And so I have to allow my trains to go um, from loader to unloader and also from loader to stacker to unloader. And I was hoping to do a centralized stacker of sorts. Um, and I used to have one in my old designs and I really loved it, but I've since implemented this functional thing in the middle. Like, look at this fucking guy. Look at this fucking guy going way up there. What a complete waste. So the big problem here is that I used to add the stacker as a stop. And I have no problem with that, in all honesty. And I may go back to that design. But it's still this winglet design that I have here doesn't work. And so that leads me to the situation where this either gets taller because I build the stackers here, or I build the stackers out here, make both of these four ways, but it makes it more difficult to build the thing out here. Um,
And you don't have a loop for any of this. You prefer a U shape just so that you can avoid loops?
yeah, no loops. Trains with
Okay.
loops will do stupid things.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I love city blocks. I designed them.
Well, I've seen trains go from South America to North America and back to South America because turning left was blocked at that one moment. So it went and traveled for 60 seconds rather than 5
Hmm.
because the only loop was 60 seconds away. Which counter argument, oh, put loops nearby. Why? Why should I have to compensate for a game flaw? Just keep my trains local is all I wanted to do. So I use unique naming systems is all. But the groups and all that other stuff really makes it so easy to fuck up all of your train network. They did not do a good job at implement. They made it so flexible that it's hard to use. So I think the only thing I can do to get what I want is to put the stacker back at the bottom.
Are you always going to include elevated rail, or is that a whim of I want it or I don't?
It's always there, but elevated rail is a purple research. Yeah, Steely. There's nothing wrong with it if that's what you want to do. But if you put a new train on the network and you want to use it for something else, and you don't forget to change its group, and you change it to use a different base, all of your trains go to that next base. And there's no fixing that. Okay, so I didn't do what I thought I did. So a couple things I want to look into.
Yeah, Steely's behind commercials right now.
Yeah. Um,
I'm behind them as well. And that, Steely, is why the answer works. We know.
anyway, Steely, yeah. Oh, yeah, that problem. They really wanted this to be on a private network. These interrupts. See, this is classic microcosm of the problem. Fucking
You're trying to get into somewhere where you. Oh, it's in front of it. Because you're trying to use two stations in tandem, one
yeah,
short, one long.
yeah.
Ah,
But the problem is the stacker. The problem is not the destination.
uh, but the station itself is technically open, right?
Yep.
Could you have a different logic that says if the other station is occupied, do not allow this station to be open?
Yeah. Still not that is a solution, and I want to solve a different problem a different way. And it's only a temporary thing, right? Because it's only while that train's loading. But it turns out that the fuel train ended up blocking this because of the way I have these stackers set. My original intention was for the stackers to be inside it and captive, but the way this shit works, um, I can't get what I want.
So you have flipped out the tongs, or not tongs, the tines of your fork instead of flipping them in, just because of space?
That because I was just designing it.
Okay.
I don't even know if I need this stacker here because the train for fuel just goes and sits. Hi, Pony.
Hey, pony.
Because the train, the locomotive for fuel usually doesn't even come here. So I don't even know that putting this thing in the middle is a good idea because in practical world, this train, God, what a shit interface. Um, I don't care what trains are going here. I want to know trains. Why do I have to make an extra click? Um, but you do have a good idea because you see it just screwed me over here too. So now this fuel train is now blocking whatever would be downstream. So adding something here that says an extra combinator that I don't know exactly how to do. Um, I would have to add extra combinators that say monitor this, and I would have to isolate them somehow. That says pay attention to this thing, which is the same train limit, the same symbol. If this on that signal you're on green, I'd have to use a different symbol.
What about just reading off of the, it might not be fast enough, but reading off this chain or the rail signal? Not that one. The one that you passed a minute ago.
That's probably
Yeah,
not. Well, that's the rail signal for the station. So that would be a false.
I I know, but the thing is that once a train enters it, it at least uh, turns it red.
Fucking UI. God damn it. I'm really in a bad mood now.
But yeah, it may not trigger fast enough to prevent the problem, is my worry.
Also, I was trying to be clever with all of these combinators and requesting 2 trains. Yeah, that's the other problem. That's the problem I ran into. All of these things can request 2 trains, but because of the way the stacker works and the fact that this is on the outside of the world network, what ends up happening is the trains stack up out here on the rail because they this thing will get totally empty and request 2 trains. So it's requesting 2 trains, but its stacker is not captured, and so 2 trains will try and go there directly. And this is one long chain network. And so because a train can't get in here, because there's a train unloading here, a train will stop right there, blocking this entire intersection because it wants to get in there and unload because this is expecting 2 trains. Because I was like, well, if it's um, it should be able to request a second train because that's efficient. But with a non-captive stacker and an interrupt system, that design doesn't work. So I got to do something different, and that's all of my stations behave that way, and that also is part of the problem with what was going on or going to be going on here. And in a move that should surprise nobody, I'm going to get totally distracted here. Fucking thing. Because my character, way over here, everything comes up as ghosted in this mod. I'd have the same problem if the fuel train came in from the other side. Besides which, I would have to make the thing notably larger in order to be able to get the fuel train, and it wouldn't be very symmetrical. I mean, the fuel train has to come in. I used to have the fuel trains. I had 2 stations. I had a fuel train up here and a fuel train down here. But I only need one fuel train. But the fuel train is symptomatic of the larger problem. The larger problem is that I'm requesting 2 trains and I don't have a stacker that can handle it. So for this thing to work, first off, I need to eliminate this stacker because I don't need you at a stacker here. I'm better off you being at a stacker where at the fuel loader because this mixed mode stacker doesn't do me any benefit. They
Yeah,
don't they
call
don't
call
get
when
built that way.
necessary.
No, I need them. I need a stacker for fuel is what I need.
Yeah,
I don't need a stacker for fuel at iron and steel plus iron plus copper. These three
well, that's what
stackers
I.
are worthless.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is you still call when ready. Just like
Well, that's what a
when I.
stacker does.
Yeah, I mean when I was working decades ago at a gas station, I didn't have to put in the request for the gas. It was either done automatically or whatever. But every so often, tanker truck shows up, parks on site, pops the tops, dumps the gas in, and then I think it just took off or whatever um, money needed to be paid or transactional items were completed. But yeah, we didn't have to worry about it. It just appeared somehow. I was not privy to that other information. But yeah, we didn't have that truck just
Yes,
sitting down the street ready to come.
yes, Dealey. That's part of the problem is that I put the stacker on the outside on the main line, and so I don't have that dedicated buffer space. Um, so I got to figure out a different way to do that. Why did I do this? Hey, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
By the
And
way,
the
if you
pony.
guys, I know
Okay.
Michelle isn't up for it, but if you, Bob, and Pony want to get into the Deathworld for a little while, I could be talked into that pretty easy.
Maybe Bob needs more interesting words?
I'm happy with that. That's the smelting array Bob designed, so that's good. All right, so now I'm going to go down and redo this smelting because I don't like it, and I'm very unhappy, and I need to find a better solution. The idea is that I have a smelting array with two unloaders, one loader, two unloaders on the outside, one unloader on the inside, and fuel unloader. It's tileable vertically. It uses dedicated lanes, and I don't know about stackers yet.
Bob, apparently you do good work. That's the accusation.
So I know that this is the core. That's this. That is also this. I really like the suggestion of shutting off that station if this station has a request. Well, see, then it runs the risk of it running out of fuel.
However, could you have sort of a uh, if you've been turned off for a period of time,
I don't use
then
timers.
yeah,
I fuck
but
them up too much.
yeah, but okay, so ignoring time, but if there's a way of just if a train has come through, and we're in a commercial break, um, if a train has come through, turn something on
I'm not going there.
versus
It's really
uh,
important to me that things be simple. Which, by the way, I'm looking at this and thinking, why the fuck did I go with this splitter setup? This is terrible. This loader is absolute garbo. What the fuck.com. What the hell am I thinking with this? The outside ones never get filled.
Bob, before we got cut off, we were just thinking or quickly describing a possible idea, but perhaps a little bit too complicated for checking what's come through or what not, has not.
So, setting aside that annoyance, going to Steely's idea, I don't think I have the room to do that. Although I don't really care if this is centered. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure this is not centered. So I could move this up one, which would push its station here. Leave this where it is, which would put its station up there, which would interfere with that. But I kind of like that idea. Thought I didn't hear you, Steely. I heard you. Why does it say parameter when I specifically told it, give it a word? I never remember what these fucking things are. That's supposed to be unloader. That's supposed to be loader. That's supposed to be fuel. Who's my idiot? All of you fuckers are getting shut off. Stop distracting me. Hmm. Well, that's less than desirable. I guess it's perfect. Having this here is perfect. You have to be there. So this works. Missed it by that much. It would work if I put it right there. I could throw away those power poles. They're offside power poles. I don't need them. They're support power poles. It's not a. It wouldn't be a standard build, but these power poles could get moved around.
Are you far enough up that you're not going to have any problems with signaling?
I don't know. I'm not thinking that far ahead. Also, I thought I got rid of these and made them into chain signals because nothing works. Why does that fucking have a pause? Why can't I just right click delete? Click, click, click. I'm in remote view. Click, click, click. Fucking garbage. I know I can alt the keystrokes.
Instead of um, pulling in line, like coming at a 90-degree off that, we'll call it a main trunk, would you be adverse to going in sideways and then coming back out across it?
That's what I'm actually looking at right now. That's why I was looking at this blueprint because I used to have a blueprint, and I've deleted all my archives, which because I was speedrunning, and I wish I hadn't done that.
I always keep text files buried off to the side.
Well, I don't have a text file, but I do have the DAT file. It would be a little bit of work, and I might lose things if I restored it. But I have an old version of my Rails that has a bunch of crazy shit in it, and one of them is a
Well, when you did most of this design, was that before or after the recent changes to the arc of turning for the rails?
this is all redone as part of 2.0.
Okay,
Um, these
but you aim,
stations, these rails up here, these bases here,
yeah,
base 3 research, base 3 supply, they're all old because they all have the old rail. So like
yeah.
here's the old Arty, right? And here's the new Arty. So this part of what's been done here is a refactoring of the fuck stick here. Because I remember I have a fuck stick. Somebody here is a. I just remembered something and my squirrel brain went there, so. I had a green circuit assembler that was pushing to itself. Here it is. Why can't I just right click delete? I'm in editor mode, for fuck's sakes. I do not produce enough plastic. This doesn't generate enough plastic. But anyhow,
Mm.
irregardlessly,
Oh God, my poor ears.
welcome. All right. Yeah, I was thinking of a side load like this.
Yeah, because you've got the ability to get a tighter radius, or at least a tighter corner, because you've got the 22 and a half and the 45 to work with.
Those aren't tighter. It takes longer to make a corner in 2.0 rails than it does. It takes more space.
Oh, yes, but I mean, you're not restricted that it had to be either a 45 or a 90. You can come in like you're about to do now, quite shallow.
I don't actually like the new rails. Why you like that, you little fucking miserable piece of cow shit, fish fucker bastard? Gotta play that stupid fucking game. Mention I'm in a bad mood all of a sudden. Oh, the problem is if I place it this way, I've got to have a station there, or I've got to have a station there. It's going to pick one. I'll have two stations. Because I designed this so that it goes either way, right? And if it goes either way, then
And right now, you're only allowing it to take one path, which means if you never close the top of the system,
I was
it
I was just sketching. It would have to
yeah
take both paths.
yeah.
Imagine right now that what I'm doing is I have a whiteboard and I'm just scribbling shit left and right.
Hmm.
I don't even want to support 2 trains here, but I have to without adding another combinator here. So this has got to count each side independently because they don't balance. Because I'm not going to put a balancer in here. This one has a balancer, so they can count both sides together. So, um, this one has to have 2 combinators, one for each, because I'm counting up this side and I'm counting up that side. If either one of those is low, then I need to request a train. The problem is it will request 2 trains unless I put a thing in here that says, why are you 16K? That's fucking wrong. You're reading red on this side. By the way, did I step up the steel on this? Yes, I did. Never remember this shit. And it's only 16K if I'm using solid fuel, which is another shit show. I should probably just relegate it to always using solid fuel and take away that variable. Because this build is never going to do anything other than solid fuel. So, a reminder for myself, do this as solid fuel. Also, throw all this away because it was wrong. I hard-coded those things. I should have been working with the variables. So let's put this down. Leave it that way. I've even hard-coded it. Fucking hilarious. I already knew it was going to be the wrong thing to do, and I did it. Beautiful. Love it. Super happy. Now let's extract this. Some days my genius even amazes me. That was sarcasm. All right. This goes away. This goes away. What I'm leaning towards really hard is separating these over here and squeezing that thing in right here. I have to leave this here because I have a perfectly balanced thing. The challenge I'm trying to deal with is amount of water. How to get fuel in here without having to build multiple fuel stations. And they're too close for me to do it here. And I really don't want to make this thing taller. I've already made it taller because I wanted to accommodate this on the end of that. So you can see that the gap between this and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rails, which is 10 tiles. 10 tiles, that's how you tickle an octopus with 10 tiles. So, having done that, what I want is the same gap here to here. And if I'm going to have to shove a unloader in there, which I am fine with shoving an unloader in there. And if I shove that unloader in here, it's going to go like there, and it's going to get shoved all the way up there. Kind of ugly. And when I say kind of, I mean very. Make that happen, I either have to move this signal over there. And again, same thing here. Why did I do this fucking loader? Oh, I know, because on a mega base. That's why. Because on a mega base, I can't afford all the splitters. Because I would normally do a different. I would do a 2 to 6, but a 2 to 6 balancer looks like this monster. It looks like that. And if I were to put this on every one of these, it would go here, and then this one would go here, and then they wouldn't fit. And I had a different version of a 2 to 6 that was more narrow but longer. I had stretched it out so that it didn't have this like that. It took up the exact amount of space it needed. Not like that, but you get the point. Why the fuck is it ghosted, you son of a bitch fucking thing? Anyhow, it didn't take up the extra space, and so it fit in here. It was a narrow 2 to 6, but it made this whole thing longer, which meant that this whole thing had to be longer, which meant that this whole thing had to be longer. And it added 7 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I was
56.
working with 484s, so it was adding a crap ton of splitters. So I just went with this slightly simpler 8 to 8 balancer that is top to bottom with an inefficient loading style of just bypassing, which meant that the outside two didn't get all that much content. But then again, if the thing's really running, oh well, it's as fast as it's going to load. I don't really like it, but the expensiveness of the splitters. The other design I considered was similar in that it would go splitter, 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 and you just run both of them right into it. Of course, that thing was in the way. And they would pull half. I think I ran the other one down the other way, so you had splitters butting into each other, so it was fucking ghosting. And why did that ghost have to have a hold click? I'm gonna be bitching about it forever. So that's what would come out of here. But again, you're adding 6 balancers and all of the associated lag across 30 some odd stations for 484s. And I just couldn't afford all that UPS hit. It was killing the game. Back to this. So, because these load independently, this is looking to say, are you 32K and are you 16K? So what I'm saying is, do I have enough to load a train? A train wagon of steel or copper or iron, which is what this is. It's going to be 8K, 16K, 8K, 8, 8, 8, 8. So it's 32. So when I have 32K in here, I want it to, no, it's 16K. I can't remember. Give me a fucking wagon.
40 slots, 100 stack, 4,000 to a stack, 4 times that, 16,000.
Yeah, so when I have 16, thank you, 16,000, that means that this thing can load a train. I don't want to call a train unless it can be fully loaded. I am taking a cheat in the fact that I'm just simply adding up. You can't see it, but there's a red wire on every one of these. I am taking a cheat that I am adding all of those up, and these red wires are connected. There's not 2 red 92, 639, and fucking thing. All the red wires are combined. And this is on the green. So if there's 32, it's going to call for 2 trains, which means, hey, I've got a lot. I'm overproducing. Summon 2 trains, and that's assuming a captured stacker. Because all of the rail signals here are supposed to prevent, and notice there are no rail signals there. The rail signals are supposed to prevent a train from coming in unless it can get here, which means that the stacker has to be not on the main train line. So I've totally fucked up with this design. It's absolute shit. Why are you still fucking running? I should just delete you because I'm going to delete you guys anyways. So I need to find a stacker design that I can capture. The problem is, I don't want to capture these unloader trains. Iron and steel both share iron ore unloaders. And so what I did in the past, and again, I have lost those designs because I don't want to keep them around. But what I did in the past, I swear I turned all these motherfuckers off. So what I did in the past is I captured both iron and steel behind the same entranceway. So I had like rails for, so if fucking thing. Why why can't I build in ghost mode when I'm in map mode? Fucking thing. Oh, here's the other rail I was talking about. This is the sort of thing I was thinking about for the earlier iteration. Be able to get stuff off there. But anyhow, I guess I can't place rails like this. Whatever. Fucking fucker. If this is the main route, then what I would do, well, it's not the main route in this case. Main route comes down like this. I have a T-junction that would feed iron ore. And then this thing had a stacker. Fuck off. Fucking garbage. So there's a stacker there. So the input line would feed the stacker. And then each of these stackers would go off to either iron ore or iron plate or steel. And then when they left, they would go back out through that. And yes, it looks that shitty. So you had a shared stacker for iron and steel, and then you had the steel smelters along there. You had the iron, so then you'd have these things partnered right there. And I'm probably going to have to go back to that because iron and steel need to have a shared stacker. But the stacker was captured so that iron ore, when it came here, could not get out unless it was going to one of these things. I need more water. I'll be back in a minute. All right, so I convinced myself I'm just going to give up on the idea of using interrupted stackers. And for these two things, I'm going to have a captured dedicated design stacker. How I'm going to get fuel in there, still a question. Why is this thing making noise? Annoying. All right. So I still need these two. What I was asking myself. 16 and 32. These unload and blend. So it's 80 and 64. Why is it 64 and 80? However, I'm not going to question that again. I've gone through it so many times. So if I shrink this, that is as small and as far in as I can push it. Push it in that far. I move those over and move those over. I'm very careful. Both of you should not be greater than 1. One of you should be greater than 0. You're 32, you're 16. You're supposed to have a wire on you. What? Who's your wire? Aren't you wired? Yeah, you are wired. Okay, I'm losing it. All right, so now I've broken this. But how are you still connected to something when I don't see a green wire? connecting you. Oh, there you are. I'm fine with that. That cleans things up nicely. Now, I need 2 combinators here, but I don't ever want this thing to call 2 trains. You should be 4K. Why are you 16K? Because when you have less than when I can unload a train, which is 4K, if either side is less than 4K, then I want a train here. I don't want you on this side. Nah, I don't want to do that. I'll just go straight across. But I still don't understand why you would be 4K and you would not be. So I'm asking myself, this train is going to hold 2,000 each because they only stack to 50. So when either side is that, then we want a train to show up. But we only want a maximum of 1 train being summoned here. So that would require a threshold limit combinator, which says that your green wires get filtered through this one. Fuck me. Oh, but I gotta delete this whole side because I don't have room for that. I have to go here. No, I have to go here because I've got to have room for this stuff to unload. That's gonna be an ugly motherfucking unloader. All right, so I can't do this on this side. It's all got to get done on this side. You're an unloader, so this is supposed to be pointing out. Will this now fit? I haven't even figured out if I can get this in here. I probably have to delete a robo port. Not looking good. Fucking hate doing this.
Um, Belt doesn't look right.
It's fine.
No.
It's
There you go.
fine. Yeah, I know. Thanks. Appreciate it. Not quite centered. That's the problem. I flipped it, not realizing that. Oh, goody. Let's do belt weaving. Oh, God. I've got to change all that. Good. Obviously, this one I can just do the simple thing, but this I cannot. That's clean. Gag. Now, I still need one more here that routes this through. And what it needs to say, I don't know if it's an arithmetic or a... I need it to say is that regardless of how many trains are on the network, it only registers a maximum of one. I don't know how to do that. If trains is greater than 1, then trains is 1. That's how I do it. There. That way, its max is 1. Clear as mud. This gets me a tileable, repeatable. I actually kind of like the way these belts curve like that.
You haven't used any of the selector combinators yet, have you, for any of this?
I don't even know what those are.
It's the other one that they created.
Yeah, okay. No, I have not, and no, I don't know how to use it. And I try and keep things simple so that people who are new to the game don't have to go, what? I'd rather not use
Right,
combinators, but
right. You're using all this programming to keep it simple.
yeah.
Uh, no, I just haven't looked to see if there was anything in here that might be of assistance as well. But it does have 4 options in vanilla, 7 if you had space age. But we're not worried about rocket capacity, quality filter, or quality transfer. Um, but again, not sure if there's a way of manipulating the selection for select input, count input, random input, or stack size.
Stack size would be useful in some cases if I wanted to make it more generic.
Hmm.
Why is this red wire connected, you fucking piece of garbage? That would have really fucked me up if you would have connected that. You should not have done that. All right. Now I got to do this again for steel.
And this block is technically infinitely scalable up and down as long as you pull off of the main spines or the main trunks.
Infinitely would not be the right word. It is capped a limit of how many trains you want to service, and how big of a stack you can handle because you've got to have room for all those things. Otherwise, your trains take too long.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that technically you could just keep stacking again and stacking again and stacking again, like a set of ladders.
That's the idea.
Yeah, okay.
Should not have had signals there.
You don't allow the fuel to circulate, right?
Oh, I forgot to finish the fuel lines. No, why would I?
Hmm?
No, why would I?
I'm just wondering that the expectation is that it'll eventually fill up to a certain degree, and then it's just maintenance as the belts empty out, right?
Yeah, I don't know of any other design that would work.
Like you just don't have the room. I was thinking that if it came back almost to source, is that would maybe give you another opportunity to rebalance to make sure that something works, or to maybe divert to one side or the other. But again, I'm just thinking of something. It's probably not feasible right now. And
I don't even
again, the
know
whole
that it has value, but
yeah, and again, the whole point of a consumable is to be consumed, not to make sure that it is continuously circulated through.
I mean, it auto balances at the wagons and the yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah, 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 yeah.
all right, now I got to do this again, but for steel. Glorious, absolutely fucking glorious. Almost fucking nailed it perfectly, but not quite. Oh, that's the other question I had to look into, but I guess I can't because I can't move this. I could move it up one, which would shorten this by one, which isn't really getting me a lot. Oh, that was a waste of effort.
A one tile change for something that can't move.
Yep. Power pulse. Forgot about that. That's not good. That sucks.
Is it just because of where stuff came out?
I don't know right now.
Because the way that you've got it designed for steel, you got half as many inputs, right? You've only got 4 versus 8.
Yeah. I don't think that's right, but yeah, I guess so. Okay, so that component of it, and that was an earlier version of a stacker, I guess. So I guess we design it. Guess we design stackers as well. So I guess what I'm gonna do is redesign my iron ore stacker. I don't think this is supposed to be a solid. It can't be a solid here or it fucks me. But I think those are special. So eventually, this will get one of these. Question is, I'm going to build a stacker and put it there. I'm going to have at least a 4-slot stacker. I'm not going to do how do I do this?
Would you consider the stacker a different type of component?
It hasn't worked out that way.
You know that you need it for, we'll just use the three base metals of right now of iron, copper, and steel. You have a moderate train limit that you're thinking of based on the repeatability of your pattern. Do you design something that can handle one or two of those before it has to be put in again? Or would you then, instead of extending vertically, you would then put in more horizontally and more distributed across your base?
Yeah, it would end up being distributed because otherwise you get train congestion. I mean, just if you look back to what Bob and I were just looking at when we were working on the um arty thing, right? There's only so much ore nearby, and if you go way far away, it's not so much about the source of the ore; it's the consumption of the plate. You pretty much want these things close to where they're going to get consumed, because if you
Mhm.
run them far away, you're going to end up having to have a lot of train traffic, and you're determined by where the iron ore is. You build one, it satisfies demand for the base that it's near, and it stays there, and then you just build new outposts. So it's not like you're going to build another. It's not like I'm going to increase the steel requirements of the nearby factory by twice, and so I need to double the steel. It needs a certain amount of steel, whether it needs 1 stack of steel or 2 stacks of steel. Okay, but I'm not going to go from 2 stacks of steel to 4 or 8. I'm going to go build steel somewhere else because there's not enough iron ore nearby to satisfy that. And if I was to increase the steel production locally like that, I'd end up having to bring in, let's say I go from 2 steel stacks, which I normally would do. I would go with 2 steels and like 2 or 4 irons. and then 2 copper or 4 copper if it's late game, which this pretty much is. Um,
Just
you
so
just
when you're
don't have the ore patches nearby to satisfy that without having to put down a crap ton of trains. And I
here,
prefer to
just
build these close to the ore patches.
let me
Um,
back you up one minute.
yeah,
When you're saying twos and fours, is that this is a gang of one?
yeah. You're
Okay.
looking at one. Yeah,
Okay. Just want to make sure that we're on the same page. So one of
yeah.
these,
But
you can
even
build
so, then
potentially a pair of them, or potentially a quad if there's sufficient resource.
yeah, you're
Okay.
just not going to build a all of your smelting. For me, all of the smelting is not done in one place because it's all of the consumption is not done in one place. The idea of
Yeah.
saying, well, I'm going to clear enough of the map so that all of my steel smelting goes here. Well, your trains are going to be driving a long fucking ways. That's
Mhm.
just not practical because you can't clear that much map territory without be like, oh
That's
my
fine.
god, this is boring.
But saying what you just described, if you know that you may want to house a something for a pair or something for a four, then would that tweak where your minimum has to be? Or at least maybe if you don't have to have all of them in it, you allow that stacker to be able to grow uh, with need. So half of it in one pass, second half in another, or as you add um, your processing, if there's a pair, you have a stacker for one. If there's a sorry, if there's a single unit, then there's a stacker for one. If there's a pair of them, there's a stacker for two, and so on and so forth. So would you be able to squeeze in enough stackers into the horizontal or height uh, restriction you have between the rails,
I would just
or do you?
overbuild the stackers because I don't have the ability to move things afterwards. And I don't want to leave a big blank space that I never fill in. So if this is my stacker, it's going to fit in between a set of power poles.
Yeah, no.
Mm, yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. It's more of, do you have it so that it grows as you need it, or do you just, as you said,
Stackers aren't going
plunk
to
it?
grow.
No. What I meant more is you don't have to put down eight all in once if you don't need eight all at once. You
Eight
say, I have,
smelting arrays?
well, no, eight stacker
No, I'm only going to put down
spots.
one stacker for each component set. And that's what I was trying to figure out a moment ago was
Yeah, but
how
what?
many stacker how I'm going to split up the stackers because I have input stackers and output stackers and normally I only do input stackers. I prefer the material close to where it's being consumed, but I also want to get the train out of the processing facility as quickly as possible so that another train can get in there and get loaded up as quickly as possible. But in practice, having a bunch of loaded trains just doesn't work. Um, Trains should be waiting to unload where they're needed, and they just the centralized depot thing doesn't really for what I do it because I have fixed base sizes. Oh, I gotta take care
Mhm.
of something back in a few minutes.
Yep.
I'm just going to build a buffer for input. We'll do the one for steel and iron first. What I had before, this is going to be the ore drop off coming from the bottom. So the top rail is the input. Fucking thing. That's weird for me. The wrong arrow. So I have to put some sort of stacker here. That's how I want to do that. Well, that's as tight as that can go. So I don't care about that much. Well, if the ore and the plate come from the same side, if the ore comes from the left, in this design, ore would be coming in from the left, and plate would be going out to the right. But technically, they could both come from the same side. Now, I would not be using this input lane, so this wouldn't actually happen. But if I did use that input line, I could continue with the interrupt concept. I could use the interrupt stacker. So, no, I couldn't, because then you have no way of getting here. Well, you'd have to leave. You'd have to be able to get out of this, go back onto the main line, and then come in here. Absolute fucking garbage. I could do that. I could make it 3 high, like I did here, 4 high instead of 1. Well, 4 high instead of 3 high, or great knee high, and put the stackers vertical, and just let them go in either direction. So if they needed to go back out in the main line, they could do that. Uh, what am I doing to myself here? So if a train's headed here, it's going to go directly there. If a train's headed here, it's going to go directly there. If it's going to go to the stacker, I'm going to want it to go here. Now, if I want it to go to this stack here after the stacker, it's got to be able to go there. So it's got to be able to come down there and then join this. Let's say I want to put 4 of these here. fucking thing. And it didn't even save me from what I didn't want to have happen. Absolute piece of shit. I just want this one to go away. But no, they all go away. Fucking garbage. What's the point in having an editor that lets you be anywhere if you can't be anywhere to build anything?
Right away, I always use a sandbox world. Or I create something and just cheat code my way through it.
I'm just bitching about the editor because it didn't used to do this. There's something changed in editor extensions. And it didn't ghost things if you were in with 2.0 with the remote everything. It didn't it made it now
True.
that if you're in remote, it ghosts something
Yeah.
because it doing it in remote mode. Technically that works, and it does not make me vomit. And I can't fucking place a train in remote. Oh, that doesn't work.
You're on the wrong side.
Yep. That's why I had these here is to remind me. So I need a stacker. See, I don't like this rail setup either. So this is the space I have to work with, and this is the design I want to use. I guess I could do it that way. Not doing anything else with this space. I think this addresses your concern about how big can I make it in case of expansion and such. I don't
Sort
think I'll
of.
do this, but I could. I don't care. What I really like about this is that it makes the whole thing smaller. It's a little taller. Okay. I don't even know why steel has parameters. So then the part I'm going to blueprint is this. This is my iron ore stacker. Obviously, I've got to signal it. But that is very doable. That gives me the flexibility to extend it off to the left or to the right very well. If I want to have the output on the same line as the input, I can do that. If I want to do something different, I can do that. This is very nice for me. That little break I took really helped my sanity. Not terrible at all. A train would come in. If it's going to get routed down here, if I use interrupts, then a train will come directly here. If it doesn't, if this station is open, if it has nowhere to go, it'll come to this stacker. If it's at this stacker and it needs to go to a station, it will leave this stacker and go to that station or to that station. I'm really happy with that. That's really good. That's, man, a little bit of persistence there. Obviously, I need to. Actually, I don't need you to be chain signals. You can be these. You can't be, but you can be. I don't care if you come in here. Well, you would stop there, and that would be very, very bad for me. I need you to stop no farther than there, so that you don't block the intersection. Means that I need this. Well, this is where the new rail comes into play. Because I want that to be straight down, but oh yeah, that's cool because now it allows the fuel train to bypass the stacker entirely. Nice. That was an important thing. I was like, how am I going to do that? Fucking cool. I got the same problem here though. Well, it's a bit more of a challenge there. That doesn't work. Well, I just can't have this many stacks. That'd be a fucking night. Anchor. So that means that this, that's as close as you can get. You are here. Ah, shit. It's just a little too short. Fine there. Not fine there. It's going to end up blocking exit traffic. That's traffic leaving and going north. Well, I think that's the best I can do there. Now, if I wanted to shove those in one farther, that problem wouldn't happen because then all of this would go in one farther. On the other hand, I could have this only go out that way and then it would come back in here, but that's going to cause all sorts of intersection traffic problems. But rather, once they're in here, they're in a private network. And it does not create a loop. I don't know that I can have this one. Nope. Maybe did I get 8? 9. All right, cool. This needs to move up one so that I can get a bi-directional on that. Train coming in can go in. Train going out can go out. Train going down can go down. Train going in can go in. A train that's got to come back down can come back down. Train that's got to go up will only go up from here, and it will never come back down here. Really liking this. I was really pissed off earlier. Thanks for your patience, Michelle. I was probably a little short with you.
I have no idea how tall you are.
Then again, you're French Canadian, so you're probably used to it.
Uh huh.
But I was told all you Ottawans are really rude.
I'm not from Ottawa.
It's like when I make fun of people from Germany and call them Austrian. Same difference.
Or those East New Zealanders?
And those New Zealanders. I'm such a dick. Oh, God.
Yeah, Jay raided into Thui uh, this afternoon, and he had on it. Um, I know what question he was asking, which was the one from, "Can you learn this? Not from a Jedi." And his
A
thing
reference
was,
I don't get. I felt like Bob for a moment there.
"Oh, um, one of the, I think it was movie two or
They
movie
were all
three."
terrible after the first one, so
I'm trying to remember when he
anyhow,
learned it. I
so
think it was
the yeah.
movie three. Anyways, the question I think was something like, "Can we learn how to do this?" And then the answer was, "Not from a Canadian." So
Funny.
I think they're poking a little bit of fun at Derek and the dough.
Yeah, Auntie was running today. Well, having built a couple of speedrun maps, I really appreciate how much work Andrew and Fox put into that thing.
Well, you saw the one that Andrew did, so he sort of carved out the heart of it and rebuilt it so that it was more sushi, which seems to be doing the trick for us. Because I mean, I ran it yesterday with you guys, and I was, hey, perfect. We got a 526. This isn't bad. And then they crushed it today by getting a sub five. And I was like,
Yeah, well,
it's the
that's a matter
same
of
thing.
people, though. MMP is a matter of people.
Well, yeah, yeah, but it was more that in the course of 24 hours,
They
they
made almost
dropped.
no changes, though.
Yeah, exactly. It was just these minor adjustments to catch mistakes or
Yeah, it's just
input
more
and
bodies.
well, there's that too, but they still were running, as he said, what the heart that Andrew built is new. It works
Hey,
differently.
Mars.
Uses a lot of smarts.
Now, I'm
The
not a fan
second,
of it. I'm not a fan of
yeah.
sushi and all that. I don't think he
Well,
needed to do that. I don't think it
oh,
saved him that much.
okay, so ignoring that part, the rest of it, everything else that gets built on top of it stays the same. In other words, the same ore patches are tapped. The same area is designated for oil and LDS and rocket fuel and the blue build, the red build, like that downstream in the stages remains almost the same. So again, from Friday, no, sorry, last week's run where they had different um, stuff, we were getting close to six, having a hard time cracking it. Could have been based on people numbers, no idea. But hard
Yeah, that's yeah.
cracking of six.
I think you're
Over the
the
course of this
base.
weekend, dropped it an hour and a half.
They didn't make significant changes in a week, right? That would have resulted in an hour change. What the fact that an extra 10 people at the beginning in the first hour of the game is going to give you 10 burner miners that you didn't have. So you've gone up by 30%. So in a 6 hour run, to drop an hour off is to drop 30%, right?
Well, and
It
like
all
I
ramps.
post, yeah, yeah. I mean, I posted in their Discord. It's like I would be interested once JD gets the time and effort to list all the names of all the bodies that made it in of those runs that qualified. What were the people counts for the and the people counts that qualify? Because I think you have to be there 50% plus, or you have to be there in the entirety. I don't know, but how does that track? Because that's information that none of us have unless we save
Yeah, and I
time
would
in
be
there.
surprised if JD would take the time to do that because it doesn't provide his streams any value.
No, but he's gonna upload the records as he sees fit, just so that those of us that participated can
Yeah,
get
yeah, but
some of that recognition.
yeah, I understand that. I'm saying is that why would he invest the time to figure that out on runs that weren't the world record? Because as a streamer and a person with a job and a family, that provides no value and is extremely expensive.
Well, he
So
can
where am I
again
going to put this
export the
buffer?
list of names, put it into something. I don't know what the process is for the upload, but
Yeah.
retrievable. It's just how, yes, like you said, how much time and effort do you put into it? And yeah, does he put in yesterday's record, the day before, tonight's? We don't know. It's up to him.
So this stacker just goes away because this is old. Garbage. This stacker, probably also garbage, but it stays. I've got to extract this stacker out of here. And then I've got to come up with a stacker for copper only. I'd love to be able to fit it in there, but that's highly unlikely. So, I mean, all congrats and props and all that for doing it, but I am 90% and unlikely to be convinced otherwise that the hour and a half is primarily consists of two things: bodies and repeated bodies. Um,
Again, the part that none of us actually knows or knows enough.
Going back to my point, I don't think the sushi on the RoboPorts helps. I don't really think, well, maybe a little bit the sushi on the pipes helps because sushi on pipes saves a lot of complicated builds. But sushi on belts for like the red circuits, he had the space. The space is there to add one belt for red circuits, and then red circuits are just to slap it in, make more. Because of all the speed runs I've watched, and again, I have an anti-sushi bias, but I do think the sushi pipes have a lot of validity. But um, of all the speed runs I've watched and participated in, the two things that limit speed are red chips and steel. And today they were talking about how they had way too much steel, but they weren't talking about how they still didn't have enough red chips. And I don't know. I'll let you go in and say if you want to say anything about that part before I move on.
Regarding,
It's always red chips and steel that slow down a run.
yeah, well, I didn't see the steel build go down. I was probably away from the computer looking at something else, but I assume that they worked on that five patch of iron out on the far east side, sorry, far west side, and
Yeah,
just inserted it where possible, and just
I think they
for
went
God's,
for it sooner is what they did.
or whichever it was, but they
Yeah,
just needed more steel, so they decided, hey, we've got five
yeah,
patches.
yeah.
We know that
But
steel is a 1 to 5 ratio, or 5 to 1, depending on how you choose to do it. But um, you'll be able to hopefully get a full belt out of this puppy and just figure out how to inject it.
yeah, and
After
ejecting
that,
steel is easy because you never fill the
they
steel belt. But
well,
going on to red.
yeah, but it was more of where they needed to go. I'm gonna drop. I'm gonna
All right,
take care of some stuff in the
talk to
apartment.
you later.
All right,
Thanks for
ciao.
your input.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I should probably wrap it up too. But on JD's design, I noticed that what they did there, where they make all the blue chips, is kind of clever. What they did is that they took the design of um, the any percent blue chip LDS build and just smashed them together and wove them in between each other so that instead of having 5 or 6 rows of blue chip LDS red chip being made, it's 20 or 30 where they're interwoven vertically. So from the top, you've got blue chip, blue chip, blue chip, blue chip, and underneath it, blue chip, blue chip, blue chip. And they're fed from top and bottom. So it's very compact, rather mind numbing, to be honest. But a well done design. This has still got that bug. Why do you show that? You shouldn't show that. Thinking of taking the parameters away from that. But it might be useful in things that don't have that, or that have a similar setup, like in a K2 build or something like that. So I'm going to leave it. The Frustrated Yodeler song. So if I do the same stacker, really kind of weird. I only need half of them. Fucking stupid. Fucking stupid. Can't fit it here no matter what I do. I can't fit it here. If I push copper off, I could do something like that. Certainly don't want it this close. This is definitely not what I want. That's the same gapping. It's a gappa. Wow. I like them. 138, 63, 33. I like them. Well, we've got a new stacker set up for our future. It's a bit challenging. I don't know if this is a good idea. But you could Kajagoogoo it. So they're actually coming in on the opposite rail of where they would normally come from, causing me to get exactly what I don't want. If I wanted to run that in the other direction, that stacker going in the other direction would be a bitch to set up. Oh, sad, sad. Doesn't reach. I have no idea what you're talking about, Nicholas. I'm sorry. I don't know what that is. I think this fits. probably need that. I'd love to have those not smashing in like that, but I don't have room for anything else. I couldn't fit another one if I wanted to. Yeah, we're not getting that. Yeah. It should be the same. Yeah, it's really close. Signal link's the same, and that's what I wanted. Nice. Squeeze the stacker. All right, let's capture those then. And if I wanted to set up multiple irons, then I could just do that. So I will make this generic. This is going to be iron if it's a multi-set iron thing, but this is going to be just type 2 or type parameter 2. Name. Source ore. Input ore. Output plate. Good. Much to learn. Input ore. Output plate. Although it's always going to be good. And then I'm not going to have this as part of it. I mean, I don't like that I'm sticking past the power pole like that. I went through that trouble to get that color, and that's I'm not gonna put these in my generic rail build. This is this is unique to this. It is a stacker though. I will copy this so that I can get some of the formatting to be consistent. This is a 242. So this will stack 4 trains. Nice. So if you want to know who created it, it's me. This is 8. And I've got to wrap up. I just got my notice. Much later than I thought it was. I really wanted to take a look at the stackers for my 121 base. Bed. Not quite good enough. Input 4. I'd rather that I had a gap here. Good. Good. So this I need to fix, but input 4. Good. So the next time I do this, my goal will be to figure out, because this is my 1-2-1 stacker. Let's get this out of the way. So I've got these stackers here. I need to test this, but I'm not going to set up a test harness tonight. This stacker on the outside doesn't work. And so what I want to do is some sort of captive stacker like this, where they can go in either direction. Oh, here comes my kitty cat to tell me I'm supposed to be going to bed. The problem is that I really usually have a lot of stuff here, or it's really close to like a spawner or something like that. And so putting these stackers in here, on the old base, the stackers used to be self-contained. They were right here. Once they're in here, they're captured. They're not going anywhere. And so the routes for trains that were doing this, it actually on the train route said, it just said go to your destination, and they would stack up here. But with the new technology now, where you can stackers can be interrupts, what this does here is could be a problem if a train gets into here and then decides to go to a different stacker. I just realized that. Is that if I have multiples of these and a train gets in here, it has no way to get out. In case like it gets to this stacker and then it isn't going to go to one of these, it's going to go to something over there because I've got more than one of them and I care about trains crossing. That's a problem. I'll probably have to add some exits or something like that. Yeah, loops. But what I'll probably do is to fix that is something like this. Fuck you for saying that. That way, if it's in here and it needs to go use the restroom, it's not stuck. I'm not going to see that flashing warning. It can actually escape. Yeah, just poking me. Pokey poke poke. Poke McPoke face. All right. So the basic idea, and I'm just saying this part out loud. Fruit Loops, those things, man, they're rough, abrasive to the roof of your mouth. So what I'm thinking I might end up having to do is something like this: is figure out how to make these. Now they're going to come back on the main line, but I don't have another way to deal with that unless I, make this whole thing taller and then figure out a way to put the stackers in there inside of that. But then they're still going to be on the main line. So what I'm better off doing is just attaching them to the bottom of this like that. Just a pair of them, I guess. Hey, man, nice pair. Make that a four-way of some sort. Or I think my four-way design is kind of big for what I would do there. Turn all of these into four-ways. And then put a stacker here and a stacker there. I would hate that. But that's probably what I have to do. Because otherwise this is going to be too congested. Anyhow, let's find somebody to raid. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. I haven't raided Cafe 8 in a while. Thanks, everybody. Hope you all have a good night. Appreciate you.